If you have apple cider vinegar and baking soda in your house and you bought them because you want to use them to do a log detox, like that's the only reason why you bought them, do yourself a favor, get them and throw them away, because you do not need those two things in order to do a log detox and to get an amazing result. Hello, my name is Lilian Okibe. Welcome to my channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about how to do a log detox in order to get the best results. So if you have build-up or your locks look ashy, they look like dull, they're not like bright or anything, and you are thinking about doing a log detox, or maybe you've done a log detox before and it seemed like it did not make any difference, this video is definitely for you. At the end of this video, you'll be able to know what to do if you want to do a log detox. You'll be able to know what to do and what not to do in order to get the best results. So if that sounds like something that you're interested in, then please keep on watching. The first thing you want to bear in mind when you're doing a log detox is the fact that the temperature of water you use is going to make or mar your results, right? Cold water doesn't work as good as hot water, like hot to warm water, right? Now you don't want to use like boiling hot water because that can cook your hair and that will damage your hair. You don't want that, but you want water that is hot enough that it can melt out all your products and like make it in like as flowy as possible, so that it's going to be easier for you to wash it out. So first things first, make sure that the water you are using for a log detox is hot water. Now, how hot should the water be? The water should be hot enough that when you put your hand in it, like when you dip your hand, like your full hand, like your full palm, when you dip it inside the water, it should be hot enough that you can feel the heat. Like you should not be lukewarm, because if it's lukewarm, you're not going to be getting the best results. The water should be hot enough that you can obviously feel the heat, right? But it's not so hot that you can't comfortably leave your hand in there for at least 2 to 3 minutes. Like hot enough that you can feel the heat, right? But not the kind of hot that you dip your hand and like it's so hot you can't leave your hand in there. You should be able to leave your hand in there for about 2 minutes, but it should not be like lukewarm such that you can lie down in the water and like comfortably sleep in the water and forget about yourself. Like if it's that hot, it's not hot enough. So it should be hot enough that you can obviously feel the heat. You can't sit in there, you can't lay in there comfortably, but yet it's not so hot that you cannot comfortably put your hand in the water for at least 2 minutes. Now, so when you get your water, the next thing you want to do is get a light shampoo, something that is easy to rinse out, something that is not like the lather is not like cloudy. Like the lather is more kind of like light than cloudy. Now, personally, what I like to use to wash my locks, and when I wash other people's locks, is black soap, Dudu Osun black soap. So if you're someone who uses Dudu Osun black soap, or if you want to use Dudu Osun black soap, I recommend that you go ahead and melt it into like a liquid form and just put some of that in the water, in the hot water. You can get any other light shampoo, like something that is watery, like something that if it's a liquid shampoo, something that it's watery, it's not like thick. You don't need a moisturizing shampoo for this. You want something that is light, something that is going to be easy to wash out, something that is going to easily penetrate into the locks, because remember, we are doing a log detox here. So you want to put some of the shampoo in the water, but you want to put enough that the water is soapy, right? But you don't want the water to be like the lather to be all over the place. You don't want it to be all lather all over the place. You want the water to be soapy. Like when you look at the water, it should look soapy, but you should not see lather all over the place. Like you should see some bubbles of the fact that, you know, it is soapy, but you should not have lather all over the place, because you want the water to be watery enough that it can move watery enough that it can comfortably move and penetrate into your locks, right? So after you have done that, you've gotten your shampoo, you've gotten like your hot water. People often use apple cider vinegar and baking soda when they are detoxifying their locks, but I'll tell you this: apple cider vinegar and baking soda doesn't really do much when it comes to removing build-up, when it comes to detox. It doesn't really do anything. I don't know who came up with that idea. I don't know who came up with that idea, but apple cider, when you mix apple cider vinegar with baking soda, yeah, I know it creates like bubbles, and so when you see those bubbles, it seems like, oh, like it's doing something amazing. But see, I'll tell you something: whether you put apple cider vinegar or not, it's not going to change. Like it's not going to adding apple cider vinegar in that solution is not going to make it work better. Now, if you go ahead and put apple cider vinegar in like cold water or like room temperature water and dig your locks in there, you're not going to be doing anything like it's not going to be detoxifying your locks in any way. Like, what if I thought you're using apple cider vinegar, what makes it work, what makes it seem like it works is the fact that the water is hot, like water is like really really warm, you know, and is that temperature of water, is that hotness of the water that makes this whole process work, because heat acts as a catalyst, right? If you go ahead and soak anything whatsoever in water, eventually the water is going to act on it and to soften it and to soak, and then it will kind of like penetrate into whatever it is and kind of start to disintegrate it, right? Eventually. But when you include heat, when you add heat into that equation, it speeds up the process, and that's why using hot water is very important, because it's going to help your hair to get detoxified faster, and it's going to give you a result faster. Now, if you are using like room temperature water, you're going to probably need to sleep in there for like days for you to see like sensible results, right? Especially if you use hair products in your hair, right? So the temperature of the water is very important. You do not need apple cider vinegar, you do not need lime, you do not need baking soda. All those things do not really do anything when it comes to removing buildup, and I'm saying this from a place of love. Right now, if you doubt me, go ahead, take your oil, or better still, take like shea butter, because I feel like that's going to be more obvious for you to see, because for oil some people are going to be a little bit confused with the results. Take something like shea butter, for example, put it somewhere. If you don't have that, you can use your any oil of choice, right? Put it somewhere, or like rub it somewhere, rub it on a surface. Like take an oil or like a butter or something and rub it on a surface, like rub a good amount of it on a surface, such that you can see that, you know, there's oil on there, or like there's butter there. And then go ahead and take your apple cider vinegar and baking soda and pour it directly on the oil or the shea butter that you have put on that surface, and see whether it makes any difference. Like, it's better for you to use something, put it like maybe on your sink or somewhere where you can obviously see. Don't put it in your hair, because use something that is not like it's like your counter or like your sink, right? Pour your apple cider vinegar and your baking soda on it and see whether it makes any difference. Like, see whether it washes out the oil or the butter. You're going to see that it's not going to be doing anything. It's not going to be doing anything. Now do like another part of that experiment. Take your hot water, like the water that I just described, take it and like pour it on that oil or the butter that you rubbed on the surface, and see whether it makes any difference. Now go ahead and add a little bit of your shampoo into that water, right? Do the experiment again. Add a little bit of your shampoo into that like hot water and pour it on like the shea butter or like the oil, and you compare your results, and then you see why I say that apple cider vinegar and baking soda like doesn't really do anything when it comes to removing buildup, when it comes to detoxifying your locks. The only thing, apple cider vinegar acts as a leave-in agent. I know we use that for baking, like people who bake, you know that we use apple cider vinegar mixed with baking soda as a leave-in agent. And what that does is those bubbles kind of like helps to create bubbles in, like, let's say your cake, and so it helps it to be more fluffy. You know, when it comes to your hair, it doesn't remove buildup. Like, seriously, it doesn't remove buildup. The only thing is going to form those bubbles, and it's going to look like it's doing something. Now, ideally, some people may argue that the fact that it forms bubbles means that it's going to like loosen up your locks, and so it's going to make your locks more fluffy and the like, just like it does for your cake. So it makes your cake fluffy. But the thing about that is, when your locks are mature, right, except your locks are already fluffy to begin with, right? But if you do not already have fluffy locks, when your locks have gotten to the point where they are mature, and then maybe you have build up and you're trying to get it out and blah 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 blah, that process of the apple cider vinegar and the baking soda mixture forming bubbles, the pressure or like the force is not enough to loosen. Like, do you know how like interconnected locks? Do you even know how like secure locks are? Locks are like super secure. Like, even if you've ever tried to unlock your hair, you know how much, you know, time it takes, or like how much energy it takes to like loosen up your locks, right? So those little bubbles that form from your apple cider vinegar and baking soda is not enough to actually loosen mature locks. So you're going to see that I know that this is like a kind of like, this is probably going to be controversial in the lock community because so many people swear by apple cider vinegar and baking soda, but like apple cider vinegar and baking soda doesn't really do anything. If at all you do a lock detox and you use apple cider vinegar and baking soda and hot water or like warm water, it is that temperature of the water that is actually doing whatever you think is happening, not necessarily the apple cider vinegar and baking soda. So save your money and probably save yourself. You keep your apple cider vinegar and your baking soda for your baking. Anyway, now that we have that out of the way, so now you have put your hot water, you have put your little bit of shampoo such that the water is soapy but not like you don't have like lather everywhere. Then you go ahead and lie down, dig your locks in there. And it's better for you to do a lock detox with someone by your side to help you, because if you're doing it alone, it's going to be, if you want to get the best results, if you're doing it alone, it's going to be a lot of work. So what you're doing now is you're going to stay in that water, in that mixture, until when the water becomes lukewarm, right? Until when the water becomes lukewarm. As soon as the water becomes lukewarm, what you do is you have to change the water, because what happens is when you dig your hair in the mixture, when the water is still hot, the water penetrates into your locks, it melts out the oils and like the products and like build up and all that from your hair into the water, right? It's something similar to, like, I don't know how many of you guys did like science in like school, elementary school and things like that. We talked about there's a phenomenon that is called osmosis. So that is basically liquid moving from a point of high concentration to a point of low concentration. So that's what happens. Like when the water soaks in there, the water moves, the water that is in high, whatever, the water in that high. That's why I said that you want to make sure that the shampoo you put in there is not so much so that it is like so like the water is like so soapy, because you want it to still be you want the mixture to be like of a light concentration, right? So that your oils and your butters and your products and all the lights that you have put in your hair can flow from your locks into the water, right? Just like what we learned in elementary school. So it can flow from your hair where it is in high concentration into the water. Now, as soon as it flows into it, the temperature of the water, the fact that the water is hot, helps to speed this up. As soon as all of that flows into the water obviously is going to start to kind of change color. But apart from that, as soon as the water stops being hot, as soon as it starts to become lukewarm, there's a high chance that a lot of all the a good amount of buildup have gotten into the water. So the water is no longer clean. So if you continue to remain there indefinitely, there's a probability that all that buildup that has come out will eventually go back into your hair, or at least stick on like the surface of your hair, and then it's like staying in your dirt. Eventually all that dirt that has come out, some of it will go back, because now you now have more of the concentration in your water and less in your hair. I don't know if that makes sense. So as soon as the water stops being lukewarm, and apart from that, as soon as the water stops being hot, the process doesn't work as fast anymore. Your products are not, like, the temperature is not high enough to continue to melt products out of your hair, and so it's just going to be stagnant. Like the process of melting becomes stagnant. And for some of, like, I don't know if you guys, those of you that use shea butter, you guys know that there's at a certain temperature shea butter becomes solid again. So for example, let's say you had shea butter build up in your locks now, and the water was hot, it has melted all the shea butter out. As soon as the water cools to a certain temperature, it solidifies again. And so because now there is now a high concentration of your build up in the water and a lower concentration in your hair, it starts to move back into your hair. And now, because the temperature is not so high, all of that build up starts to solidify, or like thicken up again, and so the mistake I find so many people do is they sit in the water for too long. As soon as the water starts being lukewarm, stand up, change it, repeat what I said, do a new solution and put your locks in there. You can do this like as often as your neck will permit, because the whole process of like lying down with your head, with your locks in water, is quite uncomfortable. Like, I haven't done it personally because my neck has not given me permission to do it, but I see when people do it and I can tell that it is very uncomfortable. So yeah, after you have done that, repeat it again and again as often as you want to, right? Another thing I want to mention is while your hair is in the water, like all through the period as you're soaking your hair in the water, make sure that like from time to time, like squeeze your hair and squeeze your hair just to encourage, you know, the solution to flow into your locks and like melt things out and get it clean. Now as soon as you have done that, you know, a few times, you can do 2, 3, 4 as often as you want. As soon as you're done detoxifying your locks with your hot water and your light shampoo, you want to go ahead, go into your shower or wherever and go ahead and wash your locks. Now as you're washing your locks, you want to do a thorough job. Wash it, wash thoroughly. I'm not saying go into the shower, put shampoo on your scalp and rinse it out. I'm saying wash the length of your locks. Pay attention, wash it thoroughly, right? Because sometimes you find that you have all the build-up melted out of your hair, and it may be like on the surface of your locks. Sometimes like it melts it from the core of your locks out into the surface of your locks. And so going ahead to wash it, what you're doing is you're trying to make sure that whatever is still left in there or whatever that is on the surface of your locks, you wash it out, right? So you want to go ahead and wash thoroughly with your shampoo and your hot water again. This time around you're washing with hot water as well, similar to the temperature of water that you use for your detox, right? You want to go ahead and wash again, and then after you have washed, now the next step, rinsing is very, like, rinsing is as important as washing. If you go ahead and do a good detox and you go ahead and wash and you don't rinse properly, you're not going to be getting the best results. So you want to go ahead and rinse thoroughly. Personally, when I do detox for other people, I like to rinse first with like warm to hot water, right, before I go ahead and rinse again with cold water. And this is because, like, just in case, you know, there's something in there that we've not gotten out, I want to make sure that I do a good job. And like hot water does a better job at removing products, removing buildup and things like that. So you want to go ahead and rinse with like hot water again. Like I said, the water is not so hot that it will burn you, but hot enough that it's not lukewarm, right? You go ahead and rinse with hot water thoroughly. What I like to do is, as I'm rinsing, as when I'm done rinsing like all the hair, you know, rinsing, I go ahead and take sections of locks, take a clean bowl of hot water, dig it into, squeeze it, swooshes, and rinse all over again, like you're rinsing clothes, like you're rinsing your clothes. Squeeze it, swoosh, rinse all over again. I take section by section, because sometimes we find that when you do like a Loc Detox, or sometimes even when you're washing, you wash all the products and all from your scalp down the length of your locks, and sometimes it gets stuck on your ends, right? So when you go ahead and like take your locks section by section, dig it, rinse, you're making sure that nothing is stuck on your ends, right? And then when you're done doing all of that, you can go ahead and do like a final rinse with like cool water, just like, you know, cool down your body and cool down your head, cool down your scalp from all the traumatic experience of a Loc Detox. That's if you did it yourself. Like, even and if you're doing it on someone else, like rinsing with cool water just like helps to cool everything down, you know. And yeah, that's all you need to do a Loc Detox. Like, it is pretty simple and pretty straightforward, but there are just certain steps that have to be done. The temperature of water is very important. The kind of shampoo you are using is also very important. You do not necessarily need apple cider vinegar or baking soda. Apple cider vinegar or baking soda doesn't actually do anything when it comes to removing, especially product buildup. And most of your products contain oils and butters. And you know, for you to comfortably and adequately remove all those things, you need hot water. Apple cider vinegar or baking soda doesn't really do much to your hair. Now go ahead and give that a try and come back to tell me how well it worked for you. Like, this works like magic. Sometimes, like, no matter how bad it looks like your build-up is, if you follow these steps that I've shared, like, you're going to see obvious results. Now before I end this video, I want to say that not everyone is going to need to do a Loc Detox. Like, I have been locked for over 2 years now, and I have never done a Loc Detox on my own head. And that's because every single time I wash my hair, I wash thoroughly. I'm mindful of what I'm doing, how I'm washing. So I kind of like do like a mini detox basically every wash day. And so far my locks don't need a lock detox. Like, so far I don't need a lock detox, and not everyone is going to need a lock detox. Like, the more thorough you are on a regular basis when it comes to washing your locks, the less likely you're going to need a lock detox. Or like, the farther down your lock journey you're going to need a lock detox, or so I just want to say that not everyone is going to need a lock detox, but if you have build up, doing a lock, the idea of like soaking your hair can definitely work. But I feel like the mistake many people make is they think that apple cider vinegar and baking soda is magic, and so and so that's all they do. They just dig their hair in like lukewarm water or like room temperature water and put apple cider vinegar, or they use like hot or warm water and stay in there for too long. That's like two major mistakes I find so many people make. So yeah, give this a try and let me know how it worked for you. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you guys learned one or two things. If you did, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. And if this is your first time on my channel and you like to see more videos from me, you like to see how my locks progress, I make videos every single week, so definitely subscribe. If you want to have locks like mine, I have an online course where I teach every single thing, all the steps I have taken, all the steps I do to have my locks grow and look like this. I'll put a link up in the iCards and down in the description box. And also, if you would like to use the products I use for my locks, I have a website where I share all of that. I'll also link that down in the description box and in the comment section. So with that, we've come to the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. See you guys in my next video.